I don't know if it's through YouTube Studio or if it's through OBS that's causing the problem. If I leave OBS running, it just automatically starts that up. You enjoyed the chair stream? Yeah, I don't know what the deal with that is. It's annoying. When I go to OBS and I go to manage broadcast before I start a stream, that's one of the options. There's another one called JS is live, and I don't know how to get rid of them. It's like they're, and now when I try to go live on YouTube, it takes me straight to the Uno stream. I don't know if I should like intentionally schedule it and then start one and then end it immediately. I don't know. Cuz it's not scheduled. It's like it might have something to do with when I was on Rumble and I used Restream. Like it's saved in Restream or something. I don't know. But we got some more Genesis today. We got the end of the flood. We got the Tower of Babel coming up. And, oh, wait. I got to change the title. We're going chapter 8. Chapter 8 through question mark. We finished 7 last week. Nah, I don't even, it's not even me that does it. Like you can see when the stream starts, I'm not there. It starts on its own. I don't even think if you listen to the beginning, I don't know if you can listen to the beginning and see if you hear my door close, my front door. I don't even think I'm home when it starts. All right. Yes, Esau. We got the end of the flood. So we're going to see the aftermath of the flood. We're going to get into the Tower of Babel, God's covenant with Noah, the Tower of Babel, and then I think we're going to get a little bit into Abraham. Yep, God calls Abraham in chapter 12. So we're going to get a little bit into Abraham. When does the Sodom and Gomorrah is chapter 19. Battle of the Kings, prophecy of Isaiah's bondages, a son promised to Sarah. Where's the Isaiah sacrifice? Maybe we'll stop there. Well, near sacrifice. Sarai and Hagar. No, I don't think that comes up for a while. Prophecy of Israel's bondages. Covenant of circumcision. I don't think we're going to get into Isaac today. We're just going to meet Abraham and Sarah, maybe. Depends on how far we get. So let's get right into it. We're picking up. So verse 24 of chapter 7 ended chapter 7, and the waters prevailed upon the earth 150 days. So the waters are about to recede. So chapter 8. And God remembered Noah and every living thing and all the cattle that was with him in the ark. And God made a wind to pass over the earth, and the waters assuaged. It means they receded. The fountains also of the deep and the windows of heaven were stopped, and the rain from heaven was restrained. And the waters returned from off the earth continually. And after the end of the 150 days, the waters were abated. And the ark rested in the 7th month on the 17th day of the month upon the mountains of Ararat. Allegedly, that's somewhere in Turkey. That's one of the presumed locations of the ark in Turkey, I believe. And it's defended by like anti-aircraft guns. Let me see. Real Ark of Noah found in Turkey. No, the real Ark of Noah has not been found in Turkey. However, archaeologists have found evidence of human activity at a site in Turkey that some believe could be the remains of Noah's Ark. But That's what they would tell us. They have microscopic studies, geological investigation, human activity. Rock samples from the site show evidence of human activity dating back thousands of years. The site is located in the Duru Pinar formation of the Dogobayazit district of Agri, Turkey. The formation is less than 2 miles from the Iran-Turkey border. The Mount Ararat and Noah's Ark research team, a collaboration between 3 Turkish and American universities, began excavating the site in 2021. Conclusion: archaeologists have consistently reaffirmed that the formation is natural, not the result of a petrified shipwreck. So Google's saying this is not true. There's a lot of different suspected places of where they could have found it. Because see, now this website says archaeologists claim to have found the true location of Noah's Ark. The discovery was made in the Durupinar site of Mount Tindurek in eastern Turkey. Some believe was Mount Ararat. Noah's Ark found. Experts discover 5,000-year-old boat. Archaeologists in Turkey have discovered what they believe to be the ruins of Noah's Ark-like festival after excavating a geological site. And this is old news. This is all stuff from 2023, but I knew about this when I was in elementary school, that it was in Turkey. And we were told that it was highly protected, and if you try to get anywhere near it, they shoot you. So it looks like fairly recently, in 2023, an archaeological crew was allowed to go there and dig up the site. But they're not going to tell us the truth, even if they did find it. No need to type all that out. All right. So anyway, mountains of Ararat, and the waters decrease continually until the 10th month. In the 10th month, on the first day of the month, were the tops of the mountains seen. And it came to pass at the end of 40 days that Noah opened the window of the ark which he had made, and he sent forth a raven. Now, some translations, I believe, call it a dove. There's a note here. 3G. Chapter 2:7. 22 feet above the highest mountain. It's a G. Let me see the EFG. First Kings, it's telling me, but that's chapter 8. Huh. These notes are not right. But it says a raven in the King James. I've heard dove. And he sent forth a raven, which went forth to and fro until the waters were dried up from off the earth. Also, he sent forth a dove. Okay, there, I stand corrected. There is a dove. Also, the dove brings back the twig, right? The olive branch. Also, he sent forth a dove from him to see if the waters were abated from off the face of the ground. But the dove found no rest for the sole of her foot, and she returned unto him into the ark, for the waters were on the face of the whole earth. Then he put forth his hand and took her and pulled her in unto him into the ark. And he stayed yet another 7 days, and again he sent forth the dove out of the ark. And the dove came into him in the evening, and lo, in her mouth was an olive leaf plucked off. So Noah knew that the waters were abated off the earth. It's interesting, he sends out a raven that doesn't come back. It just went out until the waters were dried up. And I believe it's a raven in Animal Farm that is like the preacher. I don't know why I'm thinking of that. It just seems interesting that Orwell used the raven, or was it a crow? Same thing. And Orwell was a dang commie. No, he was anti-commie, but he was an atheist. Ain't that right, Echo? He's an atheist. And the dove came into him in the evening, and lo, in her mouth was an olive leaf plucked off. So Noah knew that the waters were abated from off the earth. And he stayed yet another 7 days and sent forth the dove, which returned not again unto him anymore. So the dove found a place to live, didn't come back. Now they know it's safe to go out. And it came to pass in the 601st year, in the first month, the first day of the month, the waters were dried up from off the earth. Also, so it's very clear there and throughout the Old Testament, and then also while in the New Testament, when the disciples are teaching the Old Testament, that the writers of this understood the difference between a day and a month and a year. Now, it might not have been the exact length of our months. The months wouldn't have had the same names as our months. We have a Gregorian calendar now instead of the what did we have before that? The Roman calendar or something. Now we have a Gregorian calendar. So the days might have been slightly different, but atheists will try to argue against the lifespans of the people of that time by saying, well, maybe it's seasons, but the math doesn't math if it's seasons. With the age that they're having kids, they'll say maybe instead of years it was months. Well, the math doesn't math with that. That would mean that some of them were having kids at 4 years old. No. They understood what a month and a week and a year and a day was because they had the light to separate the darkness from the light, the sun and the moon. Speaking of books, I just got Hillbilly Elegy. I saw that at the store. So anyway, so they know the difference between a month and a year. And also, I have a whole folder that I'm working on, and one day we're going to do a breakdown of I can explain using science why we've never found a fossil of a 900-year-old person. I would venture to say that we have. We just called them Neanderthals. There's a little hint for later. Look into it. The Neanderthals were just really old men. What up, Jacob Nordstrom? Morning, brother. All right. By the way, thank you guys for all the super chats for the chair. The chair appreciates it. The chair took all the glory last night. Chair made more money than when I'm here. Ridiculous. But anyway, I'm gonna hit the like button. Griff time. I do this for me. I don't care if you like it. I don't care if you think it's boring. I just do it for me. I'm gonna be reading the Bible anyway, so I might as well do it on a stream. The least you guys could do is hit the like button for me and tell a friend. If you like it, tell a friend. If you hate it, tell everybody. Okay. First day of the month, day, year, the waters were dried up from off the earth, and Noah removed the covering of the ark and looked, and behold, the face of the ground was dry. And in the second month, on the 27th day of the month, was the earth dried. And God spake unto Noah, saying, Go forth of the ark, thou and thy wife, and thy sons' wives, and thee. Bring forth with thee every living thing that is with thee, of all flesh, both of fowl and of cattle, and of every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, that they may breed abundantly in the earth, and be fruitful and multiply upon the earth. So that command is not just for humans, it's for animals as well. And plants and birds. And no, well, I don't know about plants. They don't look at plants as like living things, as far as I understand, because they were eating berries and plants, but death wasn't brought into the world yet. So, which seems pretty consistent nowadays, because even vegetarians won't go as far as to say a plant is a living thing, even though they are organic matter, you know. They say trees communicate through their root systems and stuff like that. So I don't really understand how like a vegetarian draws the line and says that that's not a living thing, but whatever. I want to read that book too. Oh, Hillbilly Effigy or Hillbilly Elegy. And God spake unto Noah, saying, Go forth of the ark, thou and thou. Oh, I already read that. And multiply upon the earth. Verse 18, and Noah went forth, and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives with him, every beast, every creeping thing, and every fowl, and whatsoever creepeth upon the earth, after their kinds went forth out of the ark. And Noah builded an altar unto the Lord, and took of every clean beast and of every clean fowl, and offered burnt offerings on the altar. And the Lord smelled a sweet savor, and the Lord said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground any more for man's sake. This is important. This is why we take back the rainbow. Promise, not pride. Remember, God's rainbow is a promise. It's not about pride. Pride comes before the fall. Pride is the original first sin of Satan, which is why the devil takes God's things and twists them. The rainbow is a promise that he won't destroy the earth with a flood again because everybody's too degenerate. 7 colors in the rainbow, 6 colors in the Pride Month flag. Horizontal bars compared to a rainbow, which doesn't have any horizontal, it's curved. And the Lord smelled a sweet savor, and the Lord said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground any more for man's sake. For the imagination of a man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I again smite any more every living thing as I have done. While the earth remaineth, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease. Yeah. Take that, climate change, people. It's going to keep going. What up, John Barrett? And God blessed Noah, chapter 9. And God blessed Noah and his sons and said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every fowl of the air, upon all that moveth upon the earth, and upon all the fishes of the sea. Into your hand are they delivered. Every moving thing that liveth shall be meat. Now, earlier, the plants, were they also meat? Yeah, they were meat. But now, the animals are meat for you. Every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you, even as the green herb I have given you all things. And this is if you have any biblical vegetarians and you are in a debate with them, you can take them to this verse. As soon as the flood's over, God says it's okay to eat animals. But they'll argue that he would be against that. But flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall ye not eat. Flesh which is the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall ye not eat. Now, I think that's talking about, I'm not sure if that's talking about cannibalism. But also, it's also talking about the animals, because you're supposed to drain them of their blood in Jewish law for things to be kosher. You have to drain them of their blood, so you don't eat the blood. But the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall ye not eat, and surely your blood of your lives will I require. At the hand of every beast will I require it, and at the hand of man, at the hand of every man's brother, will I require the life of man. So it's not really talking about cannibalism there. It's just talking about you don't eat the blood. It's a ceremonial, cultural law for Israelites. What's the chapter and verse? It's Genesis 9:4. But now we're on Genesis 9:6. Whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of God made he man. That's a good verse for death penalty Bible study. People would say, but that's Old Testament. And you, be ye fruitful and multiply, bring forth abundantly in the earth and multiply therein. And God spake unto Noah and to his sons with him, saying, and I, behold, I establish my covenant with you, and with your seed after you, and with every living creature that is with you, of the fowl, of the cattle, and of every beast of the earth with you, from all that go out of the ark to every beast of the earth. And I will establish my covenant with you, neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of a flood, neither shall there any more be a flood to destroy the earth. And God said, this is the token of the covenant which I make between me and you, and every living creature that is with you, for perpetual generations. I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth. And it shall come to pass, when I bring a cloud over the earth, that the bow shall be seen in the cloud. And I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh. And the water shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. And the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, that I may remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth. Promise, not pride. That's why we have the rainbow. No. No, we discussed that a long time ago, Dean. I guess you don't remember. You've been listening to Freddie too much. That's not what kosher means. And God said unto Noah, this is the token of the covenant which I have established between me and all flesh that is upon the earth. And the sons of Noah that went forth of the ark were Shem and Ham and Japheth, and Ham is the father of Canaan. These are the three sons of Noah, and of them was the whole earth overspread. And Noah began to be an husbandman, and he planted a vineyard. And he drank of the wine and was drunken, and he was uncovered within his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father and told his two brethren without. And Shem, this is where they find Noah drunk and naked, and they feel ashamed of their father. And Shem and Japheth took a garment and laid it upon both their shoulders and went backward and covered the nakedness of their father, and their faces were backward, and they saw not their father's nakedness. And Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his younger son had done unto him. So see, I don't... Oh, okay. So it's just Ham that he gets mad at. Because I wondered why he cursed them. I thought he cursed all of them. He doesn't curse all of them. He just cursed Ham, because Ham walks into the tent, sees his father passed out naked, and runs and tells his brother, hey, dad's naked in the tent. And that's why Ham was punished. Shem and Japheth showed honor and respect to their father. They honored their father. They walked him backwards. They kept their face away from him, and they covered him up. They didn't even want to look on him in that condition, but they still wanted to take care of him and respect him and honor him and show him love. Whereas Ham sees it and runs and tells his brothers like a little snitch. Bro, this Ham section is so weird. Yeah. Who this JSC Genesis 9, 10 through 13. What's JST? Just Ham because he disrespected his father's nakedness. Yeah, it's just Ham that gets punished. So, and Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his younger son had done unto him. And he said, cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. Is Ham Canaan? Ham is the father of Canaan. Okay. So he cursed Canaan. He cursed him because of his father. His father's actions, he cursed the son. And he said, blessed be the Lord God of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. God shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. So Ham messed up, and his whole lineage was cursed for it. And Noah lived after the flood 350 years, and all the days of Noah were 950 years, and he died. He did. Chapter 10, the descendants of Noah. I think we have some begets here. Now, these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and unto them were sons born after the flood. The sons of Japheth, Gomer, and Magog, and Madai, and Javan, and Tubal, and Meshech, and Tiras. And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, and Riphath, and Togarmah. And the sons of Javan, Elisha, and Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodanim. I wonder if that's the same Tarshish that goes on to the land of Tarshish, that we read about in Isaiah. Probably. By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, every one of them after his tongue, after their families, in their nations. And the sons of... So now we have cultures developing. They're spreading out. They're branching out. The family's starting to grow. They're branching out. And they're developing their own languages independent of each other. But probably not so different that they can't differentiate what each other is saying. Probably just slight like dialectical differences, because what we're about to find out in the Tower of Babel is that the languages get way more confusing after the Tower of Babel. And the sons of Ham, Cush, and Mizraim, and Phut, and Canaan. And the sons of Cush, Sheba, and Havilah, and Sabath, or Sabta, and Rama, and Sabtakon. And the sons of Rama, Sheba, and Dedan. And Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. Nimrod. So Cush begat Nimrod. And this is the downline of Ham. Is Nimrod. There's a lot of mess coming out of Ham's family. Ham's side of the family. He's the weird uncle, you know? He's the weird uncle nobody wants to be around. This Ham guy. His whole family's a mess. The prophet of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints did what he called an inspired translations of sections in the Bible, like prophetic commentary. They have some interesting insight there. Yeah, I'll pass. I have the Book of Mormon on my bookshelf out there. I've read it. Not all of it, but most of it. Not really a fan, but I'm probably going to lose you right away, but I don't think Joseph Smith was a true prophet. I think he was a false prophet, and he's leading many sheep to the slaughter. Sorry if you don't like that, but you know. Anyway, he was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh in the land of Shinar. Speaking of the Book of Mormon, we just read Isaiah. A huge chunk of Nephi is plagiarized directly out of Isaiah. And then they mixed a little bit of Egyptian Egyptology in there, false Egyptology that was in the Pearl of Great Price was way off. They had like jewels that you put on mummies' foreheads to seal their death. They thought this was like a symbol from God. It was an Egyptian mummy dark arts mess. Anyway, so much for that prophet. Out of the land went forth Asher. Wait, did I skip a part? Out of verse 11. Out of the land went forth Asher, and builded Nineveh in the city of Rehoboth and Calah. We'll hear more about Nineveh in Job. And Resen between Nineveh and Calah, the same as a great city. And Mizraim begat Ludim and Anamim and Lehabim and Naphtuhim and Pathrusim and Casluhim. See how the names Mizraim, Ludim, Ananim, Lehabim, Naphutim, Pathrushim, Casluhim. They all end in IMs. Whereas like Ham, they seem to end more in an AH sound. So we have Sabta, Havilah, Sabtaka. There's Phut and Mizraim, but this is earlier in the lineage. So you see how even the names, as they branch off, this is how languages and different names and different cultures are formed. We end our name with an M. That's why you'll see like Italian people will end their letter with a vowel, like an O or an I, like Pusolini or Mussolini or El Delgado and stuff like that. The names sound similar. As they're breaking and branching off into the different families, even their names are resembling different cultural ties. You hot? What are you breathing so hard for? What are you breathing so heavy for, bud? You hot? It's cold in here. I had to warm it up. It'll be all right. Echoes, I don't know. I think he's sick or something. He was limping and walking really slow last night, but he seemed okay this morning when I took him on a walk. You getting old, buddy? You getting old. I know. He's over there breathing all heavy. Okay, anyway, so the names. And Canaan, in this verse 15, and Canaan begat Sidon, his firstborn, and Heth, and the Jebusite, and the Amorite, and the Girgasite, and the Hivite, and the Archite, and the Sinite, and the Arvadite, and the Zimmerite, and the Hamathite, and afterward were the families of the Canaanites spread abroad. And the border of the Canaanites was from Sidon, as thou comest to Gerar, unto Gaza, as thou goest unto Sodom and Gomorrah, and Adamah, and Zeboim, even unto Lasha. This is why when people say Palestine's not really a nation, Palestine's always been a nation. Maybe it didn't have a country, maybe it didn't have a border, maybe it didn't have land, but in the same way that Israel was a nation long before, 1940, when they say that it became a country, that doesn't matter. You can have a nation without a plot of land and borders. You can still have a nation. These nations were roaming around the desert forever, since the beginning, almost. Goes to Gomorrah and Adamah and Zeboim, even unto Lasha. These are the sons of Ham after their families, after their tongues, in their countries, and in their nations. Unto Shem also, the father of all children of Eber, the brother of Japheth, the elder, even to him were children born. The children of Shem, Elam and Ashur, and Arphaxad, and Lud and Aram. And the children of Ram, Uz and Hul, and Gether and Mash. Nothing about the book of Abraham and the book of Mormon proves Joseph Smith false. All saying Genesis. Joseph had some good sites. Yeah, not when it's full chapters and you're saying that you have no. Anyway, I'm not going to debate Mormonism right now, but if you want to do it, you're welcome to come on a panel anytime I do one. But it's not going to go well. And Ashad begat Salah, and Salah begat Eber. Where was I? These begats, man. These begats. Do you want out? You want to go out there? Why are you breathing so hard? Anyway. Arphax and Lud and Aram, and the children of Aram, Uz and Hul and Gether and Mash. And Arphaxad begat Salah, and Salah begat Eber. And unto Eber were born two sons. The name of one was Peleg, for in his days was the earth divided. And his brother's name was Joktan. Peleg, for in his days was the earth divided. So that must mean earth divided. And that's what I like to tie this into, a little bit of Pangea, post-flood Pangea. They build the Tower of Babel. They get divided up. And that's when we start to see what science would call continental drift. But I think it happened much faster back then. And since it's historical science and we have no way to observe it, test it, or demonstrate it, they can't really say I'm wrong. I could say that continental drift happened much faster back then, and they have no way to really disprove that because they don't know, because we can't observe it. It's historical science, which means it's pseudoscience. It's not real science. You can't do real science with things you can't observe, and unfortunately, we don't have a time machine yet. Yeah, but the Bible doesn't quote multiple chapters, huge chunks of Isaiah, and just reprint them exactly and then call it Nephi. Like, Jesus might quote a few lines from Isaiah. The disciples might quote a few lines from Isaiah. We just covered Isaiah not long ago. Nephi just directly copies huge swaths of it. I keep getting lost in these begats. I got to let my dog out because he's breathing heavy at me. I know that I'm reckless. I know I got heaven on my checklist. You know what we say. Right. Okay. That's cool. I know Baal and Abimael and Sheba and Elphar and Hivaliah and Jobab, and these were the sons of Joktan, and their dwelling was from Mesha, as thou goest unto Sephar, a mount of the east. These are the sons of Shem, after their families, after their tongues, in the lands of their nations. These are the families of the sons of Noah, after their generations, in their nations, and by these were the nations divided in the earth after the flood. And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And it came to pass, this is chapter 11, this is Tower of Babel. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, Go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. And they said, Go to, let us build us a city and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven. And let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. And this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. So globalism, this is what we see today. We have modern day Tower of Babels with one world currency, one world religion, one world government. The space wars are coming. Space, and when we get to Amos, you'll see God says, if you try to climb too high, I'll crash you back down to the ground, and if you try to dig too deep, that's where I'll pull you down into Sheol from. So, digging really deep and flying too close to the sun, God doesn't like that. You're playing God. You're trying to get to the heavens. And that's why we're never gonna live on Mars. It's not gonna happen. That's all I want to say. That's all I'm gonna say about that. We ain't getting to Mars. And they said, Go to, let us build us a city and a tower. I already read that. Hold on, that's important. And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language, and this they begin to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them for which they have imagined. And this is why Christians like to talk about unity. Unity. We need unity, peace and unity. Scale, bro? I don't know what that means. Peace and unity. No. God didn't want globalism. God didn't want one world order, one world religion, one world government, any of that. That's why he divided the nations in the Tower of Babel, because when we have that, we start to play God too much. We start to think that we're God, which is the same theme from Adam and Eve, again, in a larger mass, in a bigger group. He said if they are all united as one, there's nothing that they couldn't do. Anything they imagine, they can do. Now, atheists would be like, well, that sounds like a pretty mean God. That's fine if you think that, but we are not God. So we shouldn't be playing God like that. And God didn't like that. He divided us. In the same way, when Christ comes, he said, do you think I came to unite? No, I came to divide. I didn't come to bring peace. I came to bring a sword, to divide mother from child and father from son, or I forget the exact words. I'm paraphrasing, but so Jesus says the same thing God says here, does the same thing God does here. It's not about unity. Good and evil don't mix. Oil and water don't mix. There has to be a divide. Verse 7, Go to, let us go down there and confound their language. Let us go down there. Again, this pluralism. Go to, let us go down and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. Therefore is the name of it called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth, and from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth. These are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old and begat Aphoraxad 2 years after the flood. And Shem lived after he begat Aphoraxad 500 years and begat sons and daughters. And Aphoraxad lived 530 years and begat Salah. And Aphoraxad lived after he begat Salah 403 years. So they gave the name of the first son, but that doesn't mean they just had one son. They had lots of sons and daughters, lots of kids. Remember, the woman's conception is increased now, and we're seeing the lifespans get shorter and shorter until we settle at 120, which is where it still is today for the top end. Scale, bro? What's that mean? And Salah lived 30 years and begat Eber. And Salah lived after he begat Eber 403 years and begat sons and daughters. And Eber lived 430 years and begat Peleg. And Eber lived after he begat Peleg 430 years and begat sons and daughters. And Peleg lived 30 years and begat Reu. And Peleg lived after he begat Reu 209 years and begat sons and daughters. And Reu lived 230 years and begat Serug. And Reu lived after he begat Serug 307 years, or 207 years. So see, each one, it gets shorter and shorter. From 400 jumps down to 200, 207 years and begat sons and daughters. And Serug lived 30 years and begat Nahor. And Serug lived after he begat Nahor 200 years and begat sons and daughters. So he only lived to 230. And Nahor lived 29 years and begat Terah. And Nahor lived after he begat Terah 119 years and begat sons and daughters. So Nahor only lived 148. And Terah lived 17 years and begat Abraham, Nahor, and Haran. Now these are the generations of Terah. Terah begat Abraham, Nahor, and Haran begat Lot. And Haran died before his father Terah in the land of his nativity, in Ur of the Chaldees. And Abraham and Nahor took them wives. The name of Abraham's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife, Sarai? Maybe this is just King James. Isn't it Sarah? Or is that somebody different? Sarai. Neighbor's wife Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah, and the father of Iscah. But Sarai was barren. She had no child. Yeah, this is Sarah. But it says Sarai here, so I'm going to say it the more Hebrew way. And Terah took Abram, his son, and Lot, the son of Haran, his son's son, and Sarai, his daughter-in-law, his son of Abram's wife. And they went forth with them from Ur of the Chaldees to go into the land of Canaan. And they came unto Haran and dwelt there. And the days of Terah were 205 years, and Terah died in Haran. Chapter 12. Now we're meeting Abraham. So Abraham has a nice chunk of Genesis here. We're going to be reading about Abraham for the next quite a while until we move on to Isaac, his son, and then Jacob and Esau. So let's get into Abraham, or Abram. Abraham, tomato. Now the Lord had said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will show thee. Go out on an adventure. This is Jordan Peterson's Exodus series that he did, We Who Wrestle with God. It's about the spirit of adventure in man. God sends Abram on a mission, on an adventure. You could call it an Abram urban adventure, to go find a new land, spread out, leave your mother and father's house, cling to your wife, go out into the world, Be fruitful and multiply, spread out. So Abram's going out on an adventure. He doesn't know what lies ahead, but he trusts God. To a land that I will show you, and I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee, and in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed. So Abram departed as the Lord had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. And Abram took Sarah his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their substance that they had gathered, and the souls that they had gotten in, Haran. The souls. Look up something real quick, because that's an odd word to use there. The souls that they had gotten in Haran. How are they using souls here? What does this mean? EFGHIJKLMNOP, souls. PQRSTU, soul, and we are in Genesis 12. Where were we at? All families of earth be blessed, departed. And the souls that they had gotten in Haran, and they went forth to go into the land of Canaan, and into the land of Canaan they came. It's 12:5. Genesis 12:5. No? Oh, it's souls. 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 Genesis 12:5. 5315. It's the same use as soul there. 5315. Let's see. 5316. One page back. Five, 5315. Souls. The Hebrew word is nephesh. A breathing creature, animal, vitality, used very widely in a accommodated or figurative. Used very widely in a literal, accommodated, or figurative sense, bodily, or mention soul, life, person, mind, heart, creature, body, himself, yourself, dead, will, desire, man, themselves, any, appetite, miscellaneous, beast, breath, contented, fish, ghost, greedy, he, lust, me, mortally, one, pleasures, plus slay, plus see, I don't understand how to read this. It says 47x equals beast, breath, x, dis, contented. See, a lot. I need to learn how to, what all these 3x, 47x, maybe that's how many times it's used in that way. But what is equals beast, comma, breath, comma, x, dis, minus, contented, x, fish, comma, ghost, comma, plus, greedy, he lust me mortally, one own pleasure, slay, tablet, thy thing would have it. See, I don't really understand how that works. But pretty much it could be a person, a soul, a life, a creature. So when it says they took all the souls that they had with them, it means all the animals, all the people. Abraham departed as the Lord spoken to him, 5 years old, his brother's son, and all their substance that they had gathered, and the souls that they had gotten in Haran. So maybe children, people, all the people that they had gathered. And they went forth to go into the land of Canaan, and into the land of Canaan they came. And Abram passed through the land unto the place of Sichem, unto the plain of Moreh, and the Canaanite was then in the land. And the Lord appeared unto Abram and said, Unto thy seed will I give this land. And there builded he an altar unto the Lord who appeared unto him. And he removed from thence unto a mountain on the east of Bethel, and pitched his tent, having Bethel on the west and Hai on the east. And there he builded an altar unto the Lord, and called upon the name of the Lord. And Abram journeyed, going on still toward the south. And there was a famine in the land. And Abram went down into Egypt to sojourn there, for the famine was grievous in the land. And it came to pass, when he was come near to enter into Egypt, that he said unto Sarah his wife, Behold now, I know that thou art a fair woman to look upon. Therefore it shall come to pass, and this part's a little weird. Therefore it shall come to pass, when the Egyptians shall see thee, that they shall say, This is his wife, and they will kill me, but they will save thee alive. Say, I pray thee, that thou art my sister, that it may be well with me for thy sake, and my soul shall live because of thee. Now, does that mean, this is how messy the world was back then. So he has to lie to them and say that she's his sister. Me and Mr. Mad got into a conversation a long time ago about, is it ever okay to lie? And is that necessarily bearing false witness on your brother? I'm of the mind that bearing false witness on your brother is not the same thing as lying, because there's multiple times in the Bible where lying is the right thing to do. You could argue a time and a place for everything. And in this time, Abram has to lie. He lies to the soldiers. What does he owe these Egyptian soldiers? Does he owe them the life of his life and to grape his wife? No. So he lies to them. And I don't think God frowned upon that lie. Say, I pray thee. Not only is he going to lie, but he's ordering his wife to lie too. Because he knows if they don't lie, they're going to kill me, and they're going to take you, and they're going to make you a dang slave. And you know what that means, Sarah. You're an attractive woman. Cover up and say you're my sister. Now, I don't know why they would take a man's wife. They would kill the husband and take the wife, but they wouldn't take the sister. That's odd to me, but maybe it was some Egyptian cultural thing. They had respect for a brother and sister traveling together, but if a husband and wife are traveling together, they kill the husband and take the wife. It's odd. But anyway, my soul shall live because of thee. And it came to pass that when Abram was come into Egypt, the Egyptians beheld the woman, and that she was very fair. The princes also the Pharaoh saw her, and commanded her before Pharaoh. And the woman was taken into Pharaoh's house. And he entreated Abraham well for her sake. And he had sheep and oxen, and he asses. Is that a typo? To do it well, those ones. Well, I don't think you should be good at lying. I don't think you should have it as a goal to be a good liar, but otherwise, yeah. It's not always bad. It is bad to be a liar. You don't want to be a liar, but there is a time and a place, I think. And he had sheep and oxen, and he asses and men servants and maid servants and she asses. He asses, meaning male donkeys. He asses and men servants and maid servants and she asses, female donkeys and camels. And the Lord plagued Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarah, Abraham's wife. And Pharaoh called Abraham and said, What is this that thou hast done unto me? Why dost that thou not tell me that she was thy wife? Why saidst thou, She is my sister, so I might have taken her to me to wife? Now therefore, behold thy wife, take her and go away. So Pharaoh was like, okay, so if it's his sister, then they might just take her and marry her. But if it's his wife, they'll kill him and take her and quote unquote marry her. And so the Pharaoh tries to do that because he thinks it's just his sister. So he's like, she's hot. I want to marry her, bring her to my house. And he gives Abraham a bunch of cattle and asses and food. Um, but then God comes around. So when Moses deals with the Pharaoh, that's not the first time that a Pharaoh saw the power of God. This Pharaoh sees the power of God and he's like, yo, Abraham, why did you tell me this was your sister? I thought I could marry her. Now I'm getting punished by God. Take this woman back. Get her off my hands. Why sayest thou she is my sister? So I might have taken her to me to wife. Now therefore, behold thy wife. Take her and go thy way. And Pharaoh commanded his men concerning him, and they sent him away and his wife and all that he had. Chapter 13. Nothing wrong with lying at times. Some people are bad at it. Yeah, again, you shouldn't be good at lying. You're not supposed to be good at lying. If you're bad at lying, that's probably a good thing. It's not something you should do habitually. When I'm talking about there's a time to lie, I'm talking about a life or death situation. I'm talking about people with guns are in your house and your wife and your child are hiding under the bed and the guys rob you. And on the way out, they're like, are there any women and children here? Because we like women and children. And you say, no, there's no women and children here. Just take all my stuff and leave. And then they leave. But if you had told them there were women and children under the bed, they might have done some nasty other weird stuff to them. That's the right time to lie. When I say there's a time to lie, I'm not saying be a liar. I'm not saying go around lying all the time. Nobody likes a liar. You don't got to lie to kick it. I'm saying there are extreme situations when it might be God's plan for you that you tell a lie. Just like Abraham did here with Sarah saying that she was his sister. And there's other examples of this throughout the Bible. Even, for example, Peter, Jesus knew that Peter was going to lie 3 times and deny him 3 times, but Peter still had a great purpose. If Peter hadn't have lied that night, then we would have never got the book of Peter. We never would have got writings from Peter. We never would have got the church that spawned from Peter. We never, like, Peter is one of the greatest apostles, but he lied. And it was the right thing to do and Jesus already knew he was going to do it. Jesus already told him, you're going to do this. And he said, no, I won't. And Jesus said, watch, you think you have free will. Watch this. And then it happened. Sure enough, shocker, common theme throughout the Bible. It's almost like God already knows what's going to happen to people before it happens, and there's nothing they can do about it. And Abraham was very rich. And Abraham went up out of Egypt, he and his wife, and all that he had, and Lot with him into the south. And Abraham was very rich in cattle and silver and in gold. And he went on his journeys from the south even to Bethel, unto the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Hai, unto the place of the altar which he had made there at first. And there Abram called on the name of the Lord. And Lot also, which went with Abram, had flocks and herds and tents. And the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together, for their substance was great, so that they could not dwell together. They each have a herd of animals with them. They have big families. There's not enough resources in the land for both of us to be together, so they're going to split. And the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together, for their substance was great, so that they could not dwell together. And there was a strife between the herdsmen of Abram's cattle and the herdsmen of Lot's cattle. And the Canaanite and the Perizzite dwelled then in the land, the Perizzite and the Canaanite. And Abram said unto Lot, let there be no strife, I pray thee, between me and thee, and between my herdmen and thy herdmen, for we are brethren, we be brethren. Is not the whole land before thee? Separate thyself, I pray thee, from me. If thou wilt take the left hand, then I will go to the right. Or if thou depart to the right hand, then I will go to the left. So they're going to split up. He's saying, Lot, you're my brother. I love you. We're fighting because there's not enough land. Our herdsmen are fighting with each other because the cattle are getting mixed up. Just let's separate. If you go left, I'll go right. If you go right, I'll go left. You get to choose, Lot. And Lot lifted up his eyes and beheld all the plain of Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere, before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, even as the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt, as thou comest unto Zoar. Then Lot chose him all the plain of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east, and they separated themselves the one from the other. Abram dwelled in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelled in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent toward Sodom. But the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before the Lord exceedingly. And the Lord said unto Abram, after that Lot was separated from him, lift up now thine eyes, and look from the place where thou art northward, and southward, and eastward, and westward. For all the land which thou seest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed forever. And I will make thy seed as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then shall thy seed also be numbered. Father Abraham had many sons. Had many sons had Father Abraham. I am one of them, and so are you. So let's just praise the Lord. Right arm, right foot, Father Abraham. That's where that song comes from. Abraham's lineage became everyone. And his seed, his lineage, his downline numbered more than the dust of the earth. Then shall thy seed also be numbered. Arise, walk through the land in the length of it and in the breadth of it, for I will give it unto thee. Then Abraham removed his tent and came and dwelt in the plain of Mamre, which is in Hebron, and built there an altar unto the Lord. Abraham always out here building altars. He's about to, eventually he's going to have a little bit of trouble at an altar. Or maybe not trouble, but interesting story at an altar with Abraham coming soon. The Battle of the Kings, chapter 14. And it came to pass in the days of Amraphel, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Elasar, Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of nations, that these made war with Bera, king of Sodom, and with Bersha, king of Gomorrah, Shinab, king of Admah, and Shebemer, king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, which is Zoar. All these were joined together in the Vale of Siddim, which is the Salt Sea. Is this like the Baltic Sea or the Red Sea? I think it's the Red Sea. 12 years they served Chedorlaomer. And in the 13th year they rebelled. And in the 14th year came Chedorlaomer. And the kings that were with him, and smote the Rephaims, and Ashtaroth, Karnaim, and the Zuzims, and Ham, and the Emims, and Sheva, Kiriathaim, Chedorlaomer, Kiriathaim, Chedorlaomer, Kiriathaim. And the Horites in their month, and the Horites in their month, Seir unto Elparan, which is by the wilderness. And they returned and came to Enmishpat, which is Kadesh, and smote all the country of the Amalekites, and also the Amorites that dwelt in Hazazon Tamar. And there went out the king of Sodom, and the king of Gomorrah, and the king of Admah, and the king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, the same as Zoar, and they joined battle with them in the Vale of Siddim. So there's a war going on with all these places with really hard names to say. With Chedorlaomer, the king of Elam, and with Tidal, king of nations, and Amraphel, king of Shinar, and Arioch, king of Elasar, 4 kings with 5. And the vale of Siddim was full of slime pits. And the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled and fell there. And they that remained fled to the mountain. And they took all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah and all their victuals and went their way. And they took Lot, Abram's brother's son, who dwelt in Sodom, and his goods, and departed. And there came one that had escaped and told Abram the Hebrew, for he dwelt in the plain of Mamre, the Amorite, brother of Eshcol and brother of Aner. And these were confederate with Abram. And when Abram heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed his trained servants, born in his own house, 318, and pursued them unto Dan. And he divided himself against them, he and his servants, by night, and smote them, and pursued them into Hobah, which is on the left hand of Damascus. And he brought back all the goods, and also brought again his brother Lot, and his goods, and the women also, and the people. And the king of Sodom went out to meet him after his return from the slaughter of Chedorlaomer, and of the kings that were with him at the valley of Shavah, which is the king's dale. And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine, and he was priest of the Most High God. And he blessed him and said, Blessed be Abram of the Most High God, possessor of heaven and earth. And he blessed be the Most High God, which hath delivered thine enemies into thine hand. And he gave him tithes of all. And the king of Sodom said unto Abram, Give me the persons, and take the goods of thyself. And Abram said to the king of Sodom, I have lift up mine hand unto the Lord, the Most High God, the possessor of heaven and earth, that I will not take from a thread even to a shoe latchet, and that I will not take anything that is thine, lest thou shouldest say, I have made Abram rich. So I'm not going to take any of your things, because I don't want you to say you made me rich. Abram's already rich. He says, I'm not going to take anything you have. I raise my hand to God. I'm not taking none of your stuff. Save only that which the young men have eaten, and the portion of the men which went with me, Aner, Eshol, and Mamre. Let them take their portion. After these things, the word of the Lord came unto Abram in a vision, saying, Fear not, Abram, I am thy shield and thy exceeding great reward. Fear not. There's that again. The angel of the Lord, the word of the Lord came unto Abram in a vision. Oh, no, not the angel of the Lord. Sorry, I'm thinking of something different. After these things, the word of the Lord came unto Abram in a vision, saying, Fear not, Abram, I am thy shield and thy exceeding great reward. Some people say that that's Jesus. I would disagree. I think it's the angels of the Lord. A lot of people kind of downplay the importance of the angels. The angels were the messengers of the Lord, just like the prophets were the messengers of the Lord. Actually, Isaiah is called Yahweh in chapter 7. Isaiah 7, I think it's Isaiah 7:10. Isaiah is called Yahweh. So Yahweh, the Lord, often just represents God speaking through someone, whether it be the angels. Some of the angels are called Yahweh. Isaac is called Yahweh. Moses is called. Moses isn't ever called Yahweh, but he is called Elohim, I believe. Just an interesting fact to throw out there. Your shirt is cool. It's cool. I'm training to beat Krillin. And behold, the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, This shall not be thine heir, but he that shall come forth out of thine own bowels shall be thine heir. Oh, I skipped some verses. Okay. Fear not, Abram, I am thy shield and thy exceeding great reward. And Abram said, Lord God, what wilt thou give me, seeing I go childless, and the steward of my house is this Eliezer of Damascus? And Abram said, Behold, to me thou hast given no seed, and lo, one born in my house is mine heir. And behold, the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, This shall not be thine heir, but he that shall come forth out of thine own bowels shall be thine heir. And he brought him forth abroad and said, Look now toward heaven, and tell the stars, if thou be able to number them. And he said unto him, So shall thy seed be. See, Abram's doubting a little bit. He's like, I'm getting old and I haven't had any kids, and you say that I'm going to have as many kids as the stars and the dust. I'm like getting pretty old, God. I haven't made a kid yet. What's going to happen here? And he believed in the Lord, and he counted it to him for righteousness. So he's saying, okay, I'll stick with it, God, but it's just, I'm really getting old. God, when are you going to give me a child? But he trusted in God. And he said unto him, I am the Lord that brought thee out of Ur of the Chaldees to give thee this land to inherit it. And he said, Lord God, whereby shall I know that I shall inherit it? And he said unto him, Take me an heifer of 3 years old, and a she-goat of 3 years old, and a ram of 3 years old, and a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. And he took unto him all these, and divided them in the midst, and laid each piece one against the other. But the birds divided he not. And when the fowls came down upon the carcasses, Abraham drove them away. And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, an horror of great darkness fell upon him. And he said unto Abram, Know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also, so here's some prophecy, and also the nations whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward shall they come out with great substance. And thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace. Thou shalt be buried in a good old age. But in the 4th generation they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. And it came to pass that when the sun went down and it was dark, behold, a smoking furnace and a burning lamp that passed between those pieces. And the same day the Lord made a covenant with Abraham, saying, Unto thy seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates. The Kenites, the Kenizzites, the Kadmonites, and the Hittites, and the Perizzites, and the Rephaims, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Girgashites, and the Jebusites. We'll probably stop after. I wanted to get to where Isaac is born, but I think son promised to Sarah. The wickedness of Sodom is chapter 19. We'll stop at chapter 19. We're on chapter 16 right now, and then we'll start from Sodom and Gomorrah tomorrow. But we're going to find out about Sarah and Hagar. Abraham gets a little impatient. Gets with dang Hagar. Now Sarah, Abraham's wife, bare him no children, and she had a handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar. And Sarah said unto Abraham, Behold now, the Lord hath restrained me from bearing. I pray thee, go in unto my maid. It may be that I may obtain children by her. And Abraham hearkened to the voice of Sarah. Now, this is interesting. So, it's not Abraham that is like, man, I really want a son. Let me go get with the slave woman. No, his wife tells him, I'm ashamed because I haven't made you a son yet. Have a son with my handsmaid, and it will be our son. We'll adopt it. This is basically potentially the first adoption. She's posing that they mention in the Bible because she thinks she can't give a child. Abraham's getting nervous. He's getting old. He trusts that God's going to give him children. And then the woman comes along and says, hey, I got a solution. Let's make a baby with the servant, and then we'll just keep the baby. It'll be our baby, and we'll raise it. That way I can give you a son. That'll be the way that we give you a son. And Abraham follows the woman here instead of following God. Now, Abraham trusts in God all the time. But just like all men, and just like the common theme throughout the Bible, everybody except Jesus and some of the disciples all fall to women. Adam, Solomon, um, Samson, David, and even more than that. Even now we see Abram. It was not that he lusted after the slave girl and went and took it, but it's that he fell for, when you listen to the woman, you will suffer. We read that in Genesis. We read that in the Adam and Eve story. Because you listen to the woman, you will suffer. And now Abram's going to listen to this woman, to Sarah, his wife, and he's going to make a baby with the slave. I pray thee, go in unto my maid. It may be that I may obtain children by her. And Abram hearkened to the voice of Sarah. And Sarah, Abram's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband Abraham to be his wife. And he went in unto Hagar, that means he got it in, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes. And Sarah said unto Abraham, my wrong be upon thee. I have given my maid into thy bosom. And when she saw that she had conceived, I was despised in her eyes. And the Lord judge between me and thee. But Abram said unto Sarah, behold, thy maid is in thy hand. Do to her as it pleaseth thee. And when Sarah dealt hardly with her, she fled from her face. So Sarah took her anger out on Hagar, and Hagar ran away. And the angel of the Lord found her by the fountain of water in the wilderness, by the fountain in the way of Shur, and said to Hagar, Sarah's maid, whence camest thou? And whither wilt thou go? And she said, I flee from the face of my mistress Sarah. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, return to thy mistress and submit thyself under her hands. This is interesting. We're going to get into, once we get to Exodus 21, I'm going to go real deep into biblical slavery, because it's a common argument that atheists use against Christians, that the Bible supports slavery. And I think Christians deal with this argument in the wrong way. And I'll explain that when we get more into that stuff. But I've read it a lot, and am of the mind that in certain situations, the Bible and God does not only allow slavery, but sometimes commands slavery. And we're given instructions on how to be good masters and love our slaves. And if we're slaves, to love our masters. And it's a tough bullet to bite. It's a tough pill to swallow, but there is a way. You just have to convey that slavery is not inherently immoral, that good can come from it. And if you can demonstrate that, then debate's over. This is like reading one of those love novels. I know. It's getting romance. There's a love triangle. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, return to thy mistress and submit thyself under her hands. And the angel of the Lord said, and now this is after Sarah gave the maid, the servant, the slave, to her husband. She got pregnant. Then they started to hate each other. Then Sarah punished her, sent her, and she ran away. And then the angel said, go back and submit to her. This is your duty. This is your destiny. You need to go back. Which to some people is wild. But I think it's based. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, I will multiply thy seed exceedingly, that it shall not be numbered for a multitude. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, behold, thou art with child, and shalt bear a son, and shalt call his name Ishmael, because the Lord hath heard thy affliction. And he will be a wild man. His hand will be against every man, and every man's hand against him. And he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren. And she called the name of the Lord that spake unto her, Thou God seest me. For she said, have I also here looked after him that seeth me? Wherefore the well was called Beer Lahai Be'er Lahairoi, behold, it is between Kadesh and Bered. And Hagar bare Abram a son, and Hagar called his son's name, which Hagar bore, Ishmael. And Abram was 86 old when Hagar bare Ishmael to Abram. So Abraham was 86 years old when Hagar gave birth to Ishmael, which is Abraham's first son. But Sarah's still going to have Isaac. And Ishmael is destined to be at war with everybody. What up, sweater? And when Abram was 90 years old and 99, the Lord appeared to Abram and said unto him, I am the Almighty God. Walk before me and be thou perfect. I am the Almighty God. Walk before me and be thou perfect. People hate when I say that we are commanded to be perfect. We're not just told that we can be perfect. That whole Christian slogan of no man is perfect, only Jesus is perfect. That whole mess, Jesus, God, command both. In the Old Testament, the Father, in the New Testament, the Son, both command us to be perfect, as our Father in heaven is perfect. And I will make my covenant between me and thee. It's just people's perception of what perfect means is what the problem is. People think that, I don't know, if you cuss one time, you're not perfect, or if you smoke a cigarette, you're not perfect, or if you what's up, Dano? But we're commanded to be perfect multiple times. Chapter 17, verse 2. We're going to 19, so we got 2 more chapters. We're going to Sodom and Gomorrah, and we'll get into Sodom and Gomorrah tomorrow. Verse 2, and I will make my covenant between me and thee, and will multiply thee exceedingly. And Abram fell on his face, and God talked with him, saying, as for me, behold, my covenant is with thee, and thou shalt be a father of many nations. Neither shall my name any more be called Abram, but thy name shall be Abraham. Oh, okay. So it's not just I thought that was just King James. I forgot God gives us a new name. So he gave Abram a new name. So it was Abram and it became Abraham. I thought this was just a different way of like old King James spelling of Abraham. But no, it was Abram. Now it's Abraham. God gives us a new name. We talked about that when we were reading Isaiah. For a father of many nations have I made thee, and I will make thee exceedingly fruitful, and I will make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee. And I will establish my covenant between me and thee and thy seed after thee and their generations for an everlasting covenant, to be a God unto thee and to thy seed after thee. And I will give unto thee and to thy seed after thee the land wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. And God said unto Abraham, thou shalt keep my covenant, therefore, thou and thy seed after thee in their generations. This is my covenant that ye shall keep between me and you and thy seed after thee. Every man child among you shall be circumcised. This is the circumcision. Never been over here, but I've seen you on VK. Cool. Nice. That's what's up. Thank you, sir, for stopping by. We just do these morning Bible studies. Monday night is a news show, news and politics and stuff. And then Friday is when I go on panels like VK. And then Saturday I do my own panel all night. And it gets wild. It gets wild over there. And ye shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a token of the covenant betwixt me and you. Now, in the New Testament, that law, so that's not moral law. That's ceremonial law. Well, once we get more into Leviticus and Deuteronomy, and the end of Exodus, I'll break down specifically what moral law is, what tribal law is, tribal or cultural law, and ceremonial or ritualistic law. This is a ritual. This is a ceremony. It's a symbol to God that you are of this nation. Is the circumcision. Um, it's not a moral law because Jesus, in the New Testament says, I think it's Jesus or Peter. Somebody says in the New Testament, if you're not circumcised anymore, it's okay because now the circumcision is of the spirit. So yeah, but I would say that that is a ceremonial law. And he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised among you, every man child in your generations. He that is born in the house or bought with money of any stranger, which is not of thy seed. So they're buying children. He that is born in thy house, and he that is bought with thy money, must needs be circumcised. And my covenant shall be in your flesh for an everlasting covenant. And the uncircumcised man child, whose flesh of his foreskin is not circumcised, that soul shall be cut off from his people. He hath broken my covenant. So see, this is a ritual or a ceremony that God is putting in place in order to honor a covenant that he's making with Abraham. He's saying, I'm going to give you all these nations, but this is what you're going to have to do. You do this. This is the ceremony or the ritual that you do to keep that covenant with me. This is the sign that you do to show that you're under my covenant. He has broken my covenant. And God said unto Abraham, as for Sarah thy wife, thou shalt not call her name Sarai, but Sarah shall her name be. So it was Abram and Sarai, but now they are Abraham and Sarah, which I forgot that happened. So I thought they were just spelling them like in a more old-fashioned way. But no, it was actually Abram and Sarai. And then after the covenant, they become Abraham and Sarah. God gives us a new name. The apostles convened and chose 5 rules for the Gentile to follow so they wouldn't follow the law. Convened, yeah. They gathered together and yeah, that's a word. I don't know if that's how it's spelled. Looks like covenanted. Covenanted. I don't think it's spelled that way. But yeah, it is a word. My second channel hasn't got a membership either, so I swear YouTube is broken. Your second channel? You got a second channel? You got a lurker channel? What the? Dang. Being sneaky, Amanda. Then Abraham fell upon his face. Wait. Her name Sarah shall be her name, and I will bless her and give thee a son also of her. Yea, I will bless her, and she shall be a mother of nations. Kings of people shall be of her. Then Abraham fell upon his face and laughed and said in his heart, shall a child be born unto him that is 100 years old? And shall Sarah that is 90 years old bear? And Abraham said unto God, oh, that Ishmael might live before thee. And God said, Sarah thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac, and I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. And as for Ishmael, I have heard thee. Behold, I have blessed him, and will make him fruitful, and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall he beget, and I will make him a great nation. But my covenant will I establish with Isaac, which Sarah shall bear unto thee at this set time in the next year. And he left off talking with him, and God went up from Abraham. And Abraham took Ishmael his son, and all that were born in his house, and all that were brought with his money, every male among the men of Abraham's house, and circumcised the flesh of their foreskin in the selfsame day as God had said unto him. And Abraham was 90 years old and 9 when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. Dang, Abraham getting sliced up at 99. And Ishmael his son was 13 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. In the selfsame day was Abraham circumcised, and Ishmael his son, and all the men of his house born in the house and bought with money of the stranger were circumcised with him. And the Lord appeared unto him in the plains of Mamre, and he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day. And he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him. And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door and bowed himself toward the ground and said, My Lord, if now I have found favor in thy sight, pass not away, I pray thee, from thy servant. Let a little water, I pray you, be fetched, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree. And I will fetch a morsel of bread, and comfort ye your hearts. After that ye shall pass on, for therefore are ye come to your servant. And they said, So do as thou hast said. And Abraham hastened into the tent unto Sarah and said, Make ready quickly 3 measures of fine meal, knead it, and make cakes upon the hearth. And Abraham ran unto the herd and fetched a calf tender and good, and gave it unto a young man, and he hastened to dress it. They're getting ready a feast. And he took butter and milk and the calf which he had dressed, and set it before them. And he stood by them under the tree, and they did eat. And they said unto him, Where is Sarah thy wife? And he said, Behold, in the tent. And he said, I will certainly return unto thee according to the time of life. And lo, Sarah thy wife shall have a son. And Sarah heard it in the tent door, which was behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old and well stricken in age, and it ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of women. Now Abraham and Sarah were old and well stricken in age, and it ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of women. So I'm guessing she stopped having her monthly dealio. Therefore Sarah laughed within herself, saying, After I am waxed old, shall I pleasure my Lord being old also? Shall I have pleasure, my Lord, being old also? Okay, so she's not. Okay, the manner she's old. She lost her manner of being as a woman. She like menopause. She's laughing. She's like, I'm so old. Am I supposed to have pleasure, my Lord, being old also? And the Lord said to Abraham, Wherefore did Sarah laugh, saying, Shall I of a surety bear a child which am old? Is anything too hard for the Lord? Based. So Sarah is not having her monthly cycle no more. She don't even feel nothing down there. She ain't even feeling no pleasure. And she's laughing at God like, you're going to give me a kid? Come on, God. My pipes don't even work anymore. And God said, Is anything too hard for the Lord? At the time appointed, I will return unto thee according to the time of life, and Sarah shall have a son. I already told you you're going to have a son. Stop questioning me. Then Sarah denied, saying, I laughed not, for she was afraid. And he said, Nay, but thou didst laugh. Don't lie to me. God said, Don't lie to me. You were laughing. Don't try to lie to me. I know you were laughing. And the men rose up from thence and looked toward Sodom, and Abraham went with them to bring them on the way. And the Lord said, Shall I hide from Abraham that thing which I do? Seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. For I know him, that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of the Lord, to do justice and judgment, that the Lord may bring upon Abraham that which he hath spoken of him. And the Lord said, Because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grievous, I will go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to the cry of it, which is come unto me. And if not, I will know. And the men turned their faces from thence and went toward Sodom. But Abraham stood yet before the Lord. And Abraham drew near and said, Wilt thou also destroy the righteous with the wicked? Peradventure, there be 50 righteous within the city. Wilt thou also destroy and not spare the place for the 50 righteous that are therein? That be far from thee to do after this manner, to slay the righteous with the wicked, and that the righteous should be as the wicked, that be far from thee? Shall not the judge of all the earth do right? He's saying, God, are you You're going to wipe out all of Sodom and Gomorrah? What if there's 50 righteous people there? You're God. You can't do wrong. How are you going to, which implies that when God wipes out an evil nation, even when he wipes out infant children, and I heard a guy, Nicholas Bowling or Nicholas, he does street preaching, and I was listening to one of his things last night. I like him a lot, but he always talks about free will, free will, free will. And then this girl's like, well, why did God kill all the babies, wipe out nations and wipe out babies? And he said, well, they were wicked. And she said, but they were babies. And he said, yeah, but God knows their future. Whoa, 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 my friend. So it's justified. Now, see, I don't have a problem with this. I'm internally critiquing his worldview that believes in free will. From my perspective, there's no problem here. God knew they were wicked, and God does see the future, and God knew that they were not going to change from their ways, so God wiped them out. And even though babies died because God commanded it, that's justified. That's right, because God is the moral lawgiver. So when he commands it, he knows that they're going to be wicked. He's preemptively stopping that wickedness because he knows nothing that could happen is going to stop them from being wicked. So I'm going to wipe them out right now. They didn't have a choice to make. So it's kind of contradictive when you say that God killed the babies because he could see the future and he knew they were going to be wicked. Well, I thought they had free will. They don't get free will? Only some people get free will. Oh, that's interesting. Just looked it up. Sarai and Sarah both mean princess, but Sarai is conjugated for like a single family, and Sarah is conjugated for generality, so similar to Abram and Abraham. Yeah, they are very similar names. But I guess since they didn't have kids yet, yeah, it was just husband and wife. It was Sarai and Abram. Once they had children, then it becomes Sarah and Abraham. Shall not the judge of all the earth do right? So Abraham is questioning God, saying, how are you going to wipe out all of them? What if there's righteous people there? God's going to answer, and he's going to say, there's nobody righteous there, Abraham. I know. I already know there's nobody righteous there. If you could find one righteous person, I'll save them. And that's where Lot comes in, which we will read about tomorrow, but we're almost done with this chapter. That be far from thee. This is an interesting verse. Peradventure there be 50 righteous within the city. Wilt thou also destroy and not spare the place for the 50 righteous that are therein? That be far from thee to do after this manner. He's saying, it doesn't seem like you, God. Like, what if there's 50 righteous people there? It doesn't seem like you to wipe out the righteous, to slay the righteous with the wicked, and that the righteous should be as the wicked. That be far from thee. Shall not the judge of all the earth do right? He said, God, that doesn't sound like you. Shouldn't the God of all the earth do the right thing? That doesn't sound like the right thing, God. But God's going to answer him. And the Lord said, if I find in Sodom 50 righteous within the city, then I will spare all of the place for their sakes. If you could find me 50 righteous people there, I'll save the whole city. And Abraham answered and said, behold, now I have taken upon me to speak unto the Lord, which am but dust and ashes. Peradventure there shall lack 5 of the 50 righteous. Wilt thou destroy all the city for lack of 5? So he's saying, what if I can only find 45? What if I can't find 50, but I find 45? Now we're getting into the idea of when does a grain of sand, he's asking, what's the threshold here, God? Where, like, you say 50, what if I find 45? Then you're going to wipe it out? And he said, if I find there 40 and 5, I will not destroy it. And he spake unto him yet again and said, peradventure there shall be 40 found. And he said, I will not do it for 40's sake. So Abraham's like, what if I find 50? God said, if you find 50, I'll save the whole city. Abraham says, well, what if I find 45?
God says, if you find 45, I'll save the city. Now remember, God already knows there's none there. There's none righteous except Lot. Even Lot's wife gets turned to a pillar of salt. Spoiler alert. But so God already knows. So God's kind of just toying with Abraham because Abraham's curious. He's seeking and he's wondering. He's saying, God, my God, who I worship, wouldn't do something unrighteous. He wouldn't wipe this city out if there were righteous people there. And basically, God's like, keep asking questions, Abraham. Let's see how low you can get the number because God knows there's none there except Lot. And even that's questionable. Um, and he spake unto him yet again and said, peradventure there shall be 40 found there. And he said, I will not do it for 40's sake. And he said unto him, oh, let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak. Peradventure there shall 30 be found there. And he said, I will not do it if I find 30 there. You find 30 righteous people there, I won't wipe it out. See, Abraham's bartering with God, getting the number down, because Abraham's like, I've heard about Sodom and Gomorrah, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to find 50, but what about 30? And God's like, best I can do is 2. If you find 2, I'll save the city. He can't find 2. Best I can do. It's like Pawn Stars. And he said, behold, now I have taken upon me to seek unto the Lord. Peradventure there shall be 20 found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for 20's sake. And he said, oh, let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak yet but this once. Peradventure 10 shall be found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for 10's sake. If you can find 10 righteous men in Sodom and Gomorrah, then I won't destroy it. And the Lord went his way as soon as he had left, communing with Abraham, and Abraham returned unto his place. We're going to leave off there. Tomorrow, we're going to find out if Abraham's able to find 10 righteous men in Sodom and Gomorrah. Who said, in all my days of seeking and yet and not finding, I found one righteous man among 1,000 and no righteous women among them all. Yeah. Good luck, Abraham. We'll find out tomorrow. I don't want to spoil it, but if you know anything about the Bible, you already know what happens. But tomorrow we'll find out if Abraham's able to find 10 righteous men in Sodom and Gomorrah. You got to wonder how bad things really were there. Yeah. But I mean, I wonder if you could find. I like to go with the verse, one righteous man among 1,000 and no righteous women among them all. I like to think that 0.1% of men are righteous. Perfect. I know we say nobody's perfect. We all have sinned. That doesn't mean we have to keep sinning and living in sin once we're born again. I think that's what a lot of people, anyone who says he is without sin is a liar and the truth is not in him. But there's another verse that says, if you say you're born again and you have sin, you're a liar and the truth. There's 2 verses and they seem to contradict each other, but I think both of them point towards past tense. We all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. But once we're born again, we're made righteous. And I like to think that on earth today, 0.1%, which is 1 in 1,000 men, is righteous. If you had 1,000 men, one of those men is righteous, is a righteous man. He lives for God. He seeks God along with nothing else. He's not of the world. Maybe he sinned in his past. Maybe he did some sin. Maybe he sinned a lot before he was born again, when he was of the flesh. Maybe he sinned a lot. But now he's righteous. I think 1 in 1,000 men on earth today is righteous. And I'm just taking that from that verse. 1 in 1,000. No righteous women among them all. But I believe we can. I believe not only can we be righteous, but we're commanded to be righteous. But, I mean, what was the population of Sodom and Gomorrah? If it was less than 1,000, Or maybe there was 1,000 people in Sodom and Gomorrah. Lot was the one righteous man among them all. But you're not going to find 10. You're not going to find, if the population's 1,000, you find one. You're not going to find 10. In the same way today in New York City, what's the population of New York City? Like, isn't it like 300,000? Population of New York City. Pop of New York. 8.258 million. So 8,258,000 times 0.1. Move the decimal 2 places. Times 0.001. That means there's 8,258 righteous men in New York City. If we're to believe that there's 1 in 1,000. Apologies if it's redundant, but are you planning on going through all the books? That's the plan. It should take a little over a year at this pace. If I do at least if I do 5 chapters a day, we'll get through it in about a year. We figured it out the other day. I did the math. Based off how many chapters there are, 4 days a week, Tuesday through Friday. But I'm going to miss some days. So as long as I stay on pace, but I might get burnt out, you know. I might get halfway through and I might get burnt out and do something different, like morning, I don't know, something, just change it up. Maybe read The Art of War or read something different, some philosophy, like Plato's Republic or something like that. We might take a break from the Bible. You know, if I've been doing this for 3 months, maybe we'll take a break and read something else for a little while or change it up in the mornings for a little while. But eventually, I will have every book of the Bible, including the Apocrypha, read on stream. But the goal, if I stick to the plan and I don't miss a bunch of days, that we should be done by mid-time next year. No reason to rush it. And also, that's if we're going 5 verses a day, or 5 chapters a day. Like today I read from 7 to 19. So today I read 12 chapters. So at that pace, we get through it before Christmas. So we'll see. I'm getting a kick out of your shorts videos, I mean. My short videos. Yeah, I finished editing my Christmas vacation to Florida video. And I uploaded it onto YouTube private, and it was partially blocked because of a Beyonce song that was playing while we were at Putt Putt Golf. And then it got demonetized because of another song that was playing while we were at Putt Putt Golf. Because when me and my mom were playing putt putt, there's all this pop music playing and hip hop and stuff. And so now I've got to go in and edit. I've got to re-edit it, those parts, take the audio up and down and put some music in there. And then re-upload it and then check it again. I don't care so much about the monetization, but I don't want it blocked. I don't want it partially blocked because of a dang Beyonce song. What up, Chris? Oh, how lame. Yep. But I got to go, guys. I got to get out of here. I need to get a shower and get to bed. So let me find somebody to send you to. Is James still streaming? Customization, monetization. Redirect. He was streaming earlier. Looks like he still is. He's got a pretty big panel going. I would jump on and say hi, but I need to get a shower. Oh, Speakeasy's on there. Cool. All right, I'm going to send you guys over to James. Say what up for me. Drop some, I don't know what our emoji symbol is. I don't know.
Just drop something in the chat. Say what up. But I'll see you guys later. God bless. Make sure you hit the like button on your way out. I'm out. Peace.